honestly ruined anime for me in general. I said it before, like hentai was never my thing, but if you're into hentai, honestly just stay away from that because holy, like you could look at something that looks perfectly fine and then later find out it's lolly and then you could find yourself in a situation like this. So this whole situation has honestly ruined anime for me so fucking much that I never want to watch anime again. I don't want anything to do with anime. I got my waist bin here and I got some of my anime. We got Death Note, one of my favorites. Fuck it, throw it in the bin. We got some Dragon Ball Z, another great anime show. Throw it in the fucking bin. Robotech seems pretty harmless, but who knows? Maybe there's some lolly in there. Throw it in.
Now, that gentleman was reacting to the recent moral panic, which states that if you like anime, chances are you're a pedophile. Right, it's not the Hollywood institution that is under a lot of scandals recently, or CNN, which also had certain problem with their journalists. Like it's not those institutions that are a problem. No, the problem is one of the most popular entertainment industries from around the world, which has surpassed even America's comic books when it comes to popularity. Yeah, that's like a pedophile churning conveyor belt, according to the wise mind of various content creators on YouTube, as well as smart intellectual people on Twitter. And the question is, like, how did they come to this conclusion? Like, why now? Like, after decades of anime existing, why exactly is it that right now you see various content creators deciding to tackle with this difficult topic that no one has figured out up until now? And the reason is very simple. It's precisely because anime is popular. It's also due to the fact that it's sending certain evil messages to young people, such as love of one's family, love of one's country, wholesome romances between a man and a woman exist. That if you work hard and you sacrifice, eventually you can accomplish anything, right? Like this goes against the mentality and the messages that Rick and Morty tries to portray, or that Captain Marvel tries to tell to people, right? Where it's like, if you're a woman, you're being oppressed, and there's nothing much you can do except vote Democrat, right? So as you can see, there's like conflicting cultures. It's like playing a game of Civ, and one civilization has like more powerful culture than another and is dominating it, right? So this is the answer. This is the backlash. And they initially tried to say that anime is filled with racismus, right? Like Americans were very concerned about racism in Japan, I guess, because all of these anime had these stereotypical racist depictions in them, and they were causing harm. Now they couldn't really point to which individual was harmed by anime, but I'm sure like somewhere, somehow, a person ended up in the emergency room at a hospital because they saw the racist depictions in an anime and they were greatly harmed by that. However, the attacks on anime with accusations of racism didn't seem to catch on. Like, no one really cared, especially because a lot of people from the American black community enjoy anime. Some of the top anime reviewers on YouTube happen to be black, so this is despite all of the ample examples of racism that you can find. It doesn't seem to bother the people that allegedly the leftists are trying to protect. I mean, they're enjoying anime more than they enjoy Netflix. So they tried with accusation of sexismus and misogynismus and harmful depictions and fan service. And apparently that also didn't seem to catch on because most women still like anime. They read manga more than they read American comic books. So again, like, no one gives a fuck. And now they're trying to go after the fact that, okay, anime is pedophilia, right? So Vice released their Pulitzer-winning article, as I mentioned before, and they did a Moat and Bailey tactic. Like, they're incredibly disingenuous about it, right? So they're talking about the lolly phenomenon, which, again, is like a very subsection of a hentai genre. And this is what most normies think that Vice is talking about. Like they're trying to portray that they're actually against pornography, when in reality, the attack is on mainstream anime as a whole. Okay, they just want the normies on board. They just want to create the outrage on Twitter and on YouTube and all these other places so that they can tell the Japanese anime studios, look how many people are pissed off. You need to hire us, like put us in charge so we can decide what's acceptable or not. It's a grift, right? Like the consultants notice that there is a lot of money to be made in anime, so there is a grift to be made, and they want to be placed in charge as localizers, as people that get to decide what is acceptable for the modern audience and what isn't, right? So their attack is on the mainstream anime that actually gets to be displayed on television, that is rated T for teens on the ESRB. They are not attacking the subgenre of like some obscure websites on the internet. Okay, let's get that straight. It's very important that people understand this argument. This whole controversy is not about hentai, right? They're trying to frame it as such in order to get useful idiots on their side. So here we have an example, right? Like you got this content creator, Meat Canyon, which realizes that there's some clicks to be made from this controversy. And he goes after Sailor Moon. Sailor fucking Moon, an anime that is over 2 decades old, was shown on mainstream televisions around the world, that I would rather have my son or daughter watch that than any Netflix shit that comes out, right? This is the problem. Sailor Moon is the issue. And again, a content creator, Meat Canyon, which doodled himself with his own hand a sexual interaction between a minor and an adult. Why did he do that? Why did he do that, chat? Why did he doodle a sexual interaction on his channel between a minor representing a real person, by the way, and an adult? He did it for clicks, right? And he did it for comedy, I assume. Like, he thought it's edgy, and he thought that the bit is going to be comedic. So it's interesting that this is the person that gets up on a podium in order to lecture us about Sailor Moon. And not to mention, I noticed something about the people doing the lecture. They also watch the fucking show, right? So, like, if you think that Sailor Moon is harmful, if you think that it has, like, child pizza in it, why is it that you watch it? Like this is something that I also noticed with Vosh, right? Like, Vosh has, like, these evil images on his hard drive, which were exposed. And all of a sudden, like, some people consider that to be like CP, right? Like, there's no difference between them. But they go and look at the CP that Vosh was watching. Look at it. Look. And they're going on streams and they're sharing it. And it's like, how does this make any sense? Like, if it was actual illicit images, would you go around and share them? No. And you notice that this is a grift, all right? Like, they genuinely do not believe the shit they are saying. So, the accusations against Sailor Moon is that, number one, it sexualizes lollies, okay? So you need to understand they changed the definition of what a lolly is. Like, a 17-year-old girl now is a lolly, right? So this was actually with My Hero Academia. They got in trouble because in that show, they decided to have a beauty competition for their school. It's something that I had in 9th grade, by the way, right? So, because one of the characters were addressed with cleavage, they call that sexualizing a lolly. So therefore, if you like My Hero Academia, you're a pedophile, right? See how that works? All they had to do was to tinker with the definition and use the word sexualizing, which makes you think of sex. So when normies hear they sexualize the lolly, they think, well, there was pornography in that anime. But that anime is mainstream all around the world, rated T for teens. There's no porn in it, right? They just tinkered with the definitions to make people believe that they're talking about something else. Okay, they do that in Sailor Moon as well. Like, take into account that if you change the definition of lolly, now it's literally anyone under the age of 18, so even teenagers, right? The moment that the sailor, the senshi, that they're dressed with a miniskirt, okay, like, that's sexualizing. So just because they're wearing miniskirts, just because, like, their outfits aren't covering enough of their body, I guess, the creator of the anime, right, was a pervert, and he drew this for other perverts. That is their logic. That is their reasoning. Then there is the age difference between Tsukina Usagi and her boyfriend Mamoru. We're going to go to that in a little bit. And finally, it's the panty shots. Okay? Now, the panty shots are done for humor. And it's funny that from Meat Canyon, again, like the same person which drew a minor on his channel, getting molested by an adult, and the minor can be traced to an actual live person, right? Like he did that for humor, right? Like when he does it, it's fine, I guess. Because he's in the United States of America, he is deeply rooted into the soil. But if a Japanese person does the same for humor, it is pedophilic, right? The Japanese sensibilities are different. Most of the panties, from what I saw, there was a person that autistically went through all the 4 seasons of Sailor Moon, and I guess like after watching thousands of hours of footage, they found like 40 panty shots or something. And most of them is like one of the sailor just falling down, and you can see like her ass, and it's like a white panty. It's like 1 or 2 frames, and it's done for humor purposes. They also do this for the monsters, and most of the monsters are adult women. But like, fine, I guess like as an American, you can say you're weirded out, but again, it's not pornography, right? Like the Christians from the Bush era, the hardcore conservatives that had a big boner for censorship, did not have a problem with that. They had a problem with the LGBT relationships in Sailor Moon, and they actually asked the localizers to change Sailor Mars and Mercury into being cousins, right? But anyway, right, like fine, I will say you have a point here, like too many panty shots, maybe we should remove them. Okay, fine. Let's talk about the rest of the show. Let's talk about the age difference between Tsukina Usagi and Mamoru. So Tsukina Usagi at the beginning of Sailor Moon, she's 14, I believe, while Mamoru is in university, right? Huge problem. Huge problem. The only thing is, like, they never do anything sexual, right? Like they're boyfriend and girlfriend, and by the end of the show, they marry, and once they marry, they live happily ever after. They don't cheat on each other. That there's no, like attempt of Tsukina Usagi to sleep with other men or anything like that. It's just like a romance story. And by the time she marries, she already has age of consent. I think it's like by the end of the last season, Tsukina Usagi is an adult, right? So she's like a young girl, which gets a boyfriend, and then doesn't do anything sexual, and gets to live happily ever after. Now you can say that is problematic, right? Like, that is not the message you want to send young girls, right? Let's look at the message that American media sends young girls. It's, you can sleep around as much as you want. Sex work is real work. Don't do OnlyFans. Having more experience and sleeping with as many guys as possible is going to be more fulfilling. So if you want to say that Sailor Moon is evil and is sending, like, nasty messages to children because, like, Tsukina Usagi was young when she met Mamoru, again, they didn't do anything. It's just like they met each other and eventually they got married, right? And that's evil. I'm sorry to say that, but between like the two evils, which is Western entertainment and Sailor Moon, I would wholeheartedly have my son or my daughter watch Sailor Moon. I have absolutely no problem encouraging them to watch Sailor Moon versus all of the shit that Disney or Netflix puts in, right? And let's not talk about the fact that back in the day, people were less sensitive to this shit, where you also have like a dwarf wanting 14-year-old Snow White to give him a kiss, right? And that's in a Disney cartoon. So I generally don't know where my pearls are so I can clutch them. But I, fine, if you want to localize it and make Sailor Moon be 16, that's okay, But again, nothing sexual happened. The show is on mainstream television around the world. For 20 years, no one even brought it up. It's just like with the recent Mortal Panic. It's like, oh my god, it's like, oh, Mamoru. Okay, let's talk about Sailor Moon per se, right? Like, what is it about? Well, it's a show that it's meant for kids, right? Like, the plot in Sailor Moon isn't deep enough for a mature person to enjoy. Like, I personally loved Sailor Moon when I was in high school, but if I was to watch it now, there would be drool coming out of my mouth because I would be bored to tears. So the whole thing, it's like, why are they in school? Why are they so young? It's to relate with the targeted demographic. It's a show for children, you morons. All right? Like it's a show that you want people at the age of 16 to watch. People at the age of 16, you say representation matters. They should be able to see themselves in the television, right? Like, not everything has to be Borderlands. Like, if I was 16 and all my entertainment was with old ladies and hags, I would probably not enjoy my childhood as much as I did. Because I grew up with Johnny Quest, I grew up with Spy Kids, Pirates of the Dark Water, many other shows that you guys probably don't know. Many of them with real people, right? Like American Pie and Buffy and Xena and Hercules. Like those were real people. A lot of them were also playing as teenagers. So I'm not as freaked out about this. I don't know. It's like, okay, it's a show with teenage girls, 4 teenage girls, and I'm supposed to be outraged? Like, is this like a pedophile conveyor belt creator? Like what exactly is the argument here? What exactly is the issue? I don't get it. The show treats themes like how to listen to your parents, how to talk about self-esteem issues, how to balance doing homework and your personal activities, the power of friendship, working hard gives good results, right? Like these are the themes that the show is pushing on it, and these are the prevalent themes. To laser focus on 100 panty shots over 4 seasons of footage is very bizarre. You know, it's like watching South Park and hyper focusing on the fact that Kenny dies, and it's like, oh, so this is a show for psychopaths that like to see kids getting murdered, right? Like that is just one aspect of it, and it's done for entertainment. It's done for humor. The reason Kenny dies is because it's hilarious, right? It's not that the people who watch South Park enjoy seeing children being butchered. It's not that, right? And finally, I think this is the most important argument. Sailor Moon was a worldwide phenomenon to the point where you just name drop the show and people know what you're talking about. Like, they don't have to Google it or anything, right? Because most people have seen it. So my question is, like, where is the harm? Like, surely if this was such a harmful show, you would notice, like, some consequences in society. Like the number of pedophiles have increased because of this show. Like you would see people going to a psychologist and being like, I was a normal person, but then I watched Sailor Moon and it turned me into a monster, right? Like where is the actual evidence that there is any harm because of this show, right? Like are countries that have shown Sailor Moon on national television have witnessed an increase in crime rates, like an increase in molestation or something like that? Do you even have a case where like there's pedophiles arrested in prison and they're like, it all started when I was a young lad and I watched Sailor Moon and that show changed something into my brain. The Japanese, they have done something to me, something that I can never take back and fix. Something that is now beyond repair. Oh, how I wish that the people from Twitter and Mid Canyon would invent a time machine and go back into the past to be able to censor this horrible show, which has taken everything from me. No, we don't get to see that. You know, I think that this is just a new moral panic, and it's, on one hand, grifters that want to position themselves into anime studios so that they can leech some of the cash, because there's a lot of cash to be made, right? So like they would love it. It's like, oh, your show is so problematic and so harmful, put me in charge, allow me to tell you how to do the story, allow me to tell you what the modern audience wants, and in exchange feed me with your cash. Allow me to put food on my table with your money, and so I can give sass to the evil bigots on Twitter. You know, it's those people, like, number one, that are interested in this conversation. And the second thing, right, like, it allows you to be virtuous. Look how I champion children around the world as I go on Twitter and I start debates with other people. I get to insult them for watching Sailor Moon. They are beneath me. I am above them. Look how righteous I am. I am a champion of minorities. Look at me with awe. You know, like those other type of people, the ones that like just want to start internet arguments, and they're basically like, if you're not with me, you're against me. And I have the backing of morality. I have the backing of Christ behind me, you know? So, this is pretty much what it's all about. I think this moral panic is here to stay. I do expect more attacks on anime. So, like, what can you do about it? Well, when people start being concerned about anime, and they're like, oh, Malali this, Malali that, ask them specifically, which anime are you talking about? Right? Because the thing with the lolly, those people who enjoy it are already marginalized. Like, people who enjoy that stuff are already in fringe communities. So when someone goes, it's like, oh, I'm so concerned about which anime? What are you talking about? And if they start talking about My Hero Academia or Sailor Moon or shit, like, just laugh at them. Just laugh at them. And most people will laugh along with you because most people have seen these animes and they know that they're not harmful. And what they have something against it seems to be the high school romance trope. They absolutely despise it. Like the wholesome relationship between a man and a woman, which unironically it's very difficult to find in Western entertainment anymore. That's the thing that they're attacking. Uzaki-chan, they can't stand it. Don't bully me, Miss Nagatoro, horrible. Like everything that has to do with the high school romance, which again is anime that's directed for young teenagers, that's the thing they're attacking. Let me know what you guys think though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.